Ah yes, Balatro, the poker roguelike of yesteryear. For those who have yet to play Balatro, you really should, and this video might prove why. My goal in this video is to sell the fact that Balatro's balance is extremely well designed. This balancing act is done through how each run is different, and there's never universally a bad pickup. Most decisions you make during a run are impacted by what you've done so far and what you may need in the future. Sometimes you may have an extremely beneficial Matador pickup that jumpstarts your econ for the rest of the run. Like in Slay the Spire, a game that spearheaded the deck building roguelike genre, the best decision is the one that best fits your current state of the game.
And Slay the Spire manages the pretty incredible card game feat of having almost every card have at least some kind of use case. It's such a well-balanced game that it's almost a community meme at this point that the answer to pretty much any question about whether or when you should pick a card, the answer is pretty much always, it depends.
It's all situational. I'm not purely a gold stake player yet. So far I've completed half the stakes, putting me halfway to Completionist Plus. I have 140 hours in the game so far, and have spent a significant amount of time watching Balatro content creators, such as Balatro University, aka Dr. Spectred, Zeno, and Roffle. So I think I have some ground to stand on to be able to credit Balatro's well-roundedness in regards to balance. I've also taught a couple of friends how to play a bit better using some tips from the previously mentioned content creators. A lot of understanding of Balatro comes from time in the game and knowing to take what is presented to you and make the most out of it. You will never have the same run twice, even if you can make runs similar due to pickups you take. There are some pretty good universal rules and pointers out there when it comes to Balatro. That being said, these rules aren't entirely universal. Let's start with economy management. At the end of every round, you will get $1 for every 5 you have, up to a $5 gain. This means if you have $25 at the end of the round, you will go up to $30 on interest alone. A good rule of thumb to try and follow is to stay at or above the interest cap for every round. However, if you decide to spend down below $25, you can benefit from securing, salvaging, or borderline breaking a run. For example, you could be at $23 and find a blueprint for $10 that gets you a win at the cost of most of your interest. Taking jokers that guarantee you more money early on is usually great, but you might need more scoring from time to time, so sometimes you can't afford a joker slot on just money, especially if it doesn't pay out. Remember, being alive is better than playing the long game. You can't win if you're dead. Money-making jokers are good, but rarely do they provide a utility that can beat around. They can still win with things like Bull, Bootstraps, or a trading card and glass joker combo. These things depend on your run though. The generic recommendation for scoring to win a run is to have a form of economy generation, a chip joker, a mult joker, a times mult joker, and one or more of these should be able to scale. While that's really good advice and something to aim for, it's not a universal rule. A lot of chip scaling is too slow to benefit most runs enough, but chips are still important. Chips are usually better on Plasma deck early on until you can replace them with mult. Chips are also necessary to help the average run get a higher score due to the isoperimetric theorem, which essentially boils down to if chips and mult are closer, the final score is larger. This is also how the Plasma deck works. A majority of high scoring runs do not have chip jokers. Instead, they have a bunch of times mult jokers, and their chips come from hand levels. Having exponential times mult is usually better than having chips, but times mult relies on chips, and plus mult if it isn't yet exponential.
In a vacuum, our chips are mult enhancements better. We don't play in a vacuum, so it doesn't matter.
Again, there's never an always in Balatro.
The one that is better is the one that improves your current run more.
I can't fully speak for skips, but they often do feel like a universal bad. The Anaglyph deck is my least favorite deck, and 90% of the time I don't even look at skips. The negative tag isn't even that great. Even though you are getting free jokers, they can just be useless, and more so, if you run into an invisible joker, it could copy a useless negative joker if you didn't delete it beforehand, making the negative tag pointless in the first place. The investment tag is a solid tag, especially early on, but it can still be suboptimal. If you have a hologram joker, a standard tag can be beneficial. If you have a throwback, skips become a little more viable across the board. To round out the general rules, let's talk about bosses. There's not too much of note for many of the boss blinds. That being said, 4 of the 23 normal boss blinds will debuff suits, making wildcards so much less viable. And while wildcards will be getting an update next patch, wildcards can still be very useful when it comes to flushes, blackboard, flower pot, and a few other jokers. While the flint is often the most impactful boss blind, some builds can easily just score through it and basically ignore it. There are 13 hand types in Balatro. Each has their own viability. High card and pair are the most reliable, but offer less significant upgrades per level, while straight and 4 of a kind are somewhat reliable, but have probably the best scaling from planet cards without heavy deck manipulation. The hand you may want to go for a run often just depends, like everything else in the game. If played hands differ on a run, then preferred planet cards will also differ. Not every run will be a high card or pair run, despite their reliability. You may get an anti-1 runner to scale, or you might just want to play flushes on the checkered deck despite their awful scaling. Planet cards should normally be taken for the hand that you are trying to universally play all run, but it can be good and game saving if you put some planet levels into alternate hand types to account for hurdles such as the Ox, the Eye, or even a mid-game obelisk pickup. Now, with the whole nothing strictly better in Balatro, I think there is one exception. Black hole. If you see a black hole in a planet pack, you always take it. Right? Wait, no, not always? We're still going with that? Alright, so hear me out. You have a run where you're committed to one hand type and you can't play another hand just due to how massively underlevel it is, and just leveling anything else would be pointless. In that case, instead of getting 1 level for all hands, including the ones you don't need, you could get 2 levels in your preferred hand type by using a full tarot card after using a desired planet card. Reminder that the full does not work with spectral cards, and technically Black Hole is a spectral card. For tarot cards, the best ones are usually dependent on your run. The Hermit and Temperance are good money engines, Death and the Hanged Man are great deck manipulation, and the other tarot cards can really be conducive to a good winning run. Card enhancements are beneficial. Glass and steel cards win runs. Bonus and molt cards are underrated, and gold cards, well, if you see a devil in the shop and you have a slot, you kind of always take it. Wild cards can be good, and suit changing is more beneficial than one might think. Being a broken record, everything is good under the right circumstances. Spectral cards are tarot cards' cooler siblings. You may know that Immolate is often considered one of the best consumables in the game, and while I don't disagree, the best spectral card is, say it with me, dependent on your run. Incantation can be really good with a hologram joker, and in certain circumstances, good on abandoned deck. Wraith setting your money to 0 can be a good thing, if you're negative in money from any means. And honestly, if you know the rest of the spectral cards, you've probably seen value from them. Some are really underrated. I don't want to waste any more of your time explaining spectral cards, so let's move on to the main course. Jokers. Now repeat after me. The worst joker is a blueprint you can't afford. Here's the funny thing. I think objectively blueprint is the best joker. When you have something good to copy. If you don't have something worth copying, or if you had to sell something worth copying to obtain blueprint, taking said blueprint can lose you the run. The same goes for gambling with a soul card. In Balatro, you'll always have to make a decision based on your current run and your current joker slots. DNA is a good pickup, but only if you can afford wasting a hand, a similar situation to trading card and discards. Oops All Six's effect can be devastating when you lose all of your glass, or when the wheel boss blind rolls more face down cards. Okay, so what about typically bad jokers being good or run savers? Well, ignoring the first page of jokers and their non-impactfulness past early antes, there's some lowly rated jokers that can situationally be really good. When I was telling one of my friends about the video, he asked, but what about loyalty card? I thought about it for a second and responded with burglar. If you have a burglar with loyalty card, you can pretty much guarantee a big hand every round, especially if you have a blueprint. That means every 6 hands can be a ×16 multiplier when you already have 6 extra hands per round. This can also make the handy skip tag pretty handy. Flower Pot is notorious for being tedious to activate, but with tarot generation and playing hand types like Full House and Straights, Flower Pot can be a reliable ×3 mult. Smear Joker can also help with making Flower Pot viable. You may have to think more and run, but it doesn't make the Joker unusable. I mentioned Matador before. It can be amazing for a single round pickup Joker if you play into the right boss blind. Matador will be rebalanced for the next patch, but as of right now it's still usable, assuming you know which boss blinds it works with. Campfire is a good scaling ×mult Joker along with Obelisk. Campfire requires money and Obelisk requires brainpower. Obelisk won't work with all runs, but it can work really well and can reach a significant ×mult value that can make a losing run winnable if you pilot around the Joker right. Hit the Rojak is a hard Joker to defend, especially considering it's a rare. But if you find the Joker early on and are already going face cards with Full Houses or Straights, Hit the Road can get you through some rounds with a quick but not necessarily reliable ×2 or ×2.5 mult. Of course, this becomes less pilotable when at or above blue stake with one less discard. Seance is a difficult Joker to defend due to how unlikely straight flushes are, but on checkered deck, with Smear Joker, or decent tarot generation and wild cards, Seance can produce spectral cards with more reliability. If you have enough money and a Joker slot, Seance could be worth it, but it depends on the run. Something no choice in Balatro is universal. I've said it 1,000 times, and well, I'm not going to say it anymore as we've reached the end of the video. I think Balatro is extremely well balanced. Everything in the game has its use cases, and everything has the opportunity to be viable. Some of the most universal best options aren't strictly better. The balance in Balatro is one of the key things that has kept me playing, as every run is unique due to how the game presents its choices. For a game developed by one guy, Balatro kind of just feels perfect. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Balatro's balance. Do you agree or disagree? I love reading your guys' comments, and honestly it's nice to get more perspective on topics that I cover. Liking, subscribing, and sharing can help my channel grow and inspire me to keep on going with the channel. And lastly, I want to shout out my channel member, Alex Buffmack, who is not my mother. Until next time, later days.